Hey, welcome to another edition, Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm DJ Impact. I got Sin City Steve, and it'll be us too tonight, brother.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. I'm glad to be with you guys this evening that we recorded or whatever you listen to the podcast. Even myself kind of came down with a little bit of a quick cold here, so hopefully it'll be on its way out. But I think I'll be able to get through this. Nevertheless, if you're watching us live, do us a favor, throw your comments in the box, and we would try to get them on the screen or even mention it during the podcast here so we can respond to that. YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitch. That's where you can comment on. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. So we're just going to talk a little bit about wrestling this past week. We're not going to do our normal format that we do. I know that you get so used to our certain segments, but being that it's just Steve and I, we're just going to kind of go a little bit back and forth here. Halloween Havoc just happened this past weekend. Once again, NXT put on a great program. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna tell you, it was very difficult to figure out what would be match of the night for me, Sin City. But if I was forced to choose, it would definitely be probably the North American Championship match. And one of the reasons why is I think they really told a good story with Wesley. Wesley, man, listen, I've been following this guy since he was with the Rascals. And I've always just been a fan of his. I've always been a fan with Trey Miguel. And when I finally saw that, two of the Rascals was going to be called up to NXT, I was excited about this. And Trey decided to pass, and I get it. He had some things he wanted to take care of, and he wanted to be close to home. So I can't be upset with that at all. But these other guys came in, and it was a struggle, man. They came in as tag team. They became tag team champions, and then it was like the universe began to kind of turn on them in some way, and and then the craziness went on with Wes's partner. I forget his name. My apologies.
Zach Wentz, yeah.
Yeah, Zach, yeah. And that went on, and it just seemed like Wes really was truly going down this hill, and it had nothing to do with his talents. His talents were still there.
Yeah.
Man. So it was interesting. So WWE kind of played off of this whole thing, and it's just been leading up for him to have this sort of moment. And I thought it was very well. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. When I saw Wagner toss his ass across that announcer's table,
that was a hell of a spot, though.
Yeah, right. I was like, well, the whole idea West is gone. So, but man, I mean, he got back up and ran up that ladder. Definitely a highlight match for me, man. What about you? What was a takeout a takeout from you from this match?
So the thing that I'll mention is I haven't really talked about NXT on this show in quite some time. Not to peel back the curtain too much, but I just haven't been watching the show.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I wanted to watch this particular show because, to be honest, I wanted to go in blind necessarily to the storylines. That way, characters like Nathan Frazier,
Right.
I hadn't seen him before. Oro Mensah, I hadn't seen him before.
Right.
So it was one of those things where, this was a really good introduction to those guys. Yeah. And quite frankly, this match, not to beat a dead horse, this match and also the main event, the great thing about this show is that it was bookended by two really, really, really solid matches.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that that's something that comes down to, smart placement of matches on the show, the overall booking strategy, not just of each individual match, but the way that everything kind of flows together.
Right.
So yeah, for me, the main event was absolutely solid. As it should be. Exactly. The main event is your marquee match. And, you had Braun Breaker who, at first it was one of those things where, there was a little bit of nepotism at play with Braun and kind of unsure of his talents, skyrocketing him to the top. But realistically, they made the right call. and going back and, taking some time away from the NXT product, seeing what Braun has done, how he's gotten better in the ring, is number one. That's astounding. That's absolutely freakish ability from Braun Breaker. And he is getting the absolute best training anywhere on the planet at the WWE PC right now. And it definitely shows. He has done nothing but get better. Dragunov, I was a big fan of his in NXT UK. And he slotted in extremely well in the main event scene here. Also, JD McDonough. I know that you've been banging the drum on that guy for a long time. And yes, I was very, very happy to see that he is in the main event scene where he belongs. And I was a fan of his work as Jordan Devlin. And since he's been rebranded and, gone through a different persona, they've got a really, really strong core at the top of the card for NXT. And obviously now it gets interesting for when do you bring those guys up?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great match as well. I love the idea as the ref counting from 3.
Yes.
JD was able to stop that hand going down on the ref. That was I don't know if I've seen that before. I was trying to remember. Have I ever saw someone like planting themselves in the hand going down so it doesn't hit the mat?
That was crazy. The Frankensteiner to the powerbomb spot.
Yeah, right.
In the, that was just flawlessly done by those guys. Great stuff.
Yeah, and the last thing I even mentioned, I mean, I thought the ambulance match wasn't bad either. I thought that they did it, I think what it really sort of picked up is, oh God, shit. All right, I forgot his name, man. Not
Julius.
Yes. This is what happens. See, when you get sick, man, you get.
Hey, man, it is what it is, bro. I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But when Julius, when he was tossed over into the ambulance, and when I was like, wow, I guess this is about to be over. But eventually, when he, after getting his finger smashed 3 times, like, my God, when he got out of there, it was like a whole different match, man. He just came out and put it down. So I thought that was also a good match as well. So they did their thing, man, and on that show. So
definitely,
I have not too much more to say about that, unless you want to add something else to it.
Yeah. So the thing that I'll mention too is, just very strong character development up and down the card. I was very pleasantly surprised to see, what they did with Roxanne Perez. Obviously that match kind of started off a little bit slow. You could tell that there was some uneasiness with the weapon spots, but as they settled in and got into the flow of things, things really did pick up. And it's great to see Roxanne Perez get another marquee win. Because I mean, with her that, and then her showing up on SmackDown, and she's got a future, bro. She's got a future.
She does. I remember seeing her in ROH.
Yep.
I think that's when I saw her, and when I saw her, like, wow, dude, she really is like a star. You know, I was even surprised that she hadn't gotten picked up yet by WWE when I saw her. So I'm not shocked by where she's headed. She's going to be awesome, and when she moves up to that main roster, I do think that when Braun, right?
Yeah.
Moves over into the main, move to the main shows. My guess is we're probably going to see Carmelo maybe take that spot. I could be wrong, but I think he might be the next guy that'll end up being the NXT champion, because he's definitely got that look written all over him as well.
Without question, man. I mean, he's a star. He is an absolute star. Even when he won the tournament back in the day, he was a virtual unknown, quite frankly. And then he wins this tournament, makes a name for himself, and ever since, his trajectory has just been going crazy high.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see him getting into that main event scene. The main question I have though is, when you bring Braun Breaker up, do you change his name? Do you pull the trigger on the name change? Because you got Braun Breaker and you have Braun Strowman.
Right.
Are you going to have two Brauns?
Which is why I was starting to get confused. I was like, wait, Braun, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to say
Yeah.
Braun.
Exactly. It's easy to have happen, bro.
Yeah. Well, they may. You never know. To move over into Raw and SmackDown, I'll just try to combine them. In terms of Raw, man, I mean, Raw was a good show. It was normal. They're doing things. I'm liking the I guess you could call it the build, although I guess it should be ending now between Riddle and Rollins, but they did have their United States Championship match. So, I mean, that was good. Really, the one thing I want to call out on the show, though, that just can't be ignored is the return of JBL. And not just the return of JBL, he brings out Baron Corbin. And the question I'm asking is, wait, is JBL going to be the manager for Baron Corbin?
That's the way it looks.
That's the way it's interesting, right? And I think it'll definitely be a good look to him. Not that Baron, I never listen. I know people talk shit about Baron. You might have, I don't know. I'm not sure what Michael's take is on Baron. But I've always thought of him as really being a great worker. Since he came out, in the old, I guess, motorcycle theme music, I've always just liked it. And that End of Days to me is probably one of the top 5 moves to me, greatest moves.
Oh yeah.
That, when you see that done, it's like, yeah, he's out. Not everyone could do that, and he does it perfected. So I don't necessarily think he needs a mouthpiece. At the same time, JBL though, I think would be a perfect addition for him if this is where this is headed. So that was my take on that, because hearing JBL at the commentary table was just gold. He was just talking shit to Kevin Patrick. I'm trying to figure out if I like Kevin now as on commentary. I kind of miss Saxton just because I like the bickering between, first off, Saxton and Corey. I just think it's really, and Saxton will respond to Corey. Yeah. Kevin doesn't respond to any shit they talk to him. He just kind of ignores it and continues. And maybe that's the idea they're trying to go with, but
I think it's a familiarity thing. I think that he's so focused on calling the matches that, I don't think has that tool at his disposal yet in his toolbox, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, it's just a matter of time. Him settling in, getting used to things, getting comfortable. And then I think that we're going to start to see more personality come out from Kevin Patrick.
A couple of things JBL said I thought was hilarious. He said that hiring you is like losing 5 good men. Oh shit. Oh, God.
Damn. Yeah.
Wow. He says he told him it's what did he say? You're like a dime out here with $1. It's and he let him know that he's the dime. Kevin,
of course.
Yeah. So just a lot of good little throw-ins he did, but that was it with me for Raw. And of course for SmackDown, man, I'm curious as to your thoughts on that. Of course, I thought it was a good match between Sheamus and Solo. I think what they're doing with that though, they really building up Solo to be the guy, right? You could kind of see them heading that way.
Without a doubt, man. And so they are doing it right with Solo Sikoa. Yeah. Instantly, the guy has stepped in and made an immediate impact on everything. You got to think about it. How did he first make his main roster debut? In the main event spot at a premium live event.
Right.
Like it's crazy that they're giving him this kind of a platform. And
Yeah.
when I say that, I don't mean any slight on Sepha by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
He's an amazing talent, but I'm not used to this with WWE. I'm not
Right.
used to them hot-shotting somebody, and then 3 weeks later, they're still continuing to push him. Usually, I'm
Yep.
used to seeing somebody get, a good appearance, and
Sure.
then 2 to 3 weeks later, they're not the shiny new toy, and
Right.
so now they just go away for a little bit. It's awesome truly to see, and being somebody that,
Well,
you know,
and someone
here
can
in
say,
Vegas,
well,
man, here in
I know,
Vegas,
right? I
representing.
know. Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. I remember just, going to a couple of um signings that he was at
Yep.
out here and just talking to him about him being where he's at right now. This was always the goal, and at some point it looks kind of bleak because you're looking like, man, I mean, putting in this hard work, it looks like nothing's happening. But I think everyone was just continuing to tell him, man, just stay at it
Oh, yeah.
because it's only a matter of time before you would get there. And dude, he's just being a beast in there. So
And what a win. What a win
yeah,
over Sheamus, who
right,
is going to be a WWE Hall of Famer. Um,
right,
so that's gotta tell you something right there. But yeah, SmackDown was very, very solid. The other thing that I wanted to mention is it definitely looks like as if we're getting a little bit of a twist on Liv Morgan's gimmick. So
yeah,
they're giving her more of an edge. She's, beating people up with weapons. Obviously, she's
right,
out to prove that she's hardcore or extreme or whatever. It's pretty awesome.
yeah,
I'm really happy to see that they are actually doing something with her other than the childhood dream of winning a
right,
championship.
exactly,
That's that I get that idea of an angle, or not an angle, but of a storyline. But yeah, it ran its course, and now they're actually giving her something to run with. So
yeah.
I'm very interested to see how far she runs with this.
I agree, and I definitely like this more of a Liv than what I've
Yeah.
seen in the past. So yeah, a good shout out on that. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention also on Raw, um, they gave Dominic a win over AJ Styles. And let me tell you, I know that could be a little iffy because and even it was funny because even Corey, as your hero commentary, was already as much as he's pumping up Dominic, he pretty much was saying, AJ's been in his business forever. He's more likely gonna, take this. And then of course Dominic gets the win and Corey's in big shock. But I thought that this actually was a good move because AJ Styles is not gonna lose anything from this.
No,
Um,
not at all.
yeah. And if anything, it's going to help build up Dominic. I never thought I would have seen it. If someone would have said that I would see that, I'd be like, I don't
Agreed.
know about that. So yeah, man, that actually happened, and it was a clean three. Uh, you know, so I mean, of course, some interference, but still.
Well, yeah.
Uh, but I wanted to shout that out too. So yeah, the major work that they're doing with him. But yeah, man, that's all I have for Raw or SmackDown. Let's
I,
review.
I I did like seeing Logan Paul get his ass kicked a little bit though.
You
That was
know,
fun.
as much as I want to watch Crown Jewel and I'm not going to, I would love to just hear about the ass beating he's going to take from Roman because
Yeah.
it's going to
You,
be
you you know they're gonna let him get some good offense in though.
sure, yeah,
So
but it ain't gonna go nowhere.
no, not at all.
Just quickly on Impact Wrestling, and by the way, Impact was in Vegas this past weekend. I got a chance to attend one of the shows. They did 2 tapings. I went to Friday's night taping. It was great, a nice crowd that came out and everything. So it was just good to see, wrestling just still becoming the thing out here in Vegas. So, and I won't go over any of the matches or anything, but it was just good to see everybody there and see people who you watch regularly, which I watch on a weekly basis. Right now, the storyline really that's going on this past weekend, they had the Impact World title match that was Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. They were the title holders going against Rhino and Heath. And yeah, Rhino and Heath beat Matt and Mike, which I guess once you found out that they weren't going to resign, then that's the giveaway. I wish sometimes you can kind of plan that a little differently.
Once they showed up on the other show.
Right. But yeah, so we got Rhino and Heath. That was this past week's show. And Bully Ray, they're running a whole little gimmick with him. He's got that what is it? Call Your Shot trophy that he won. And excuse me for a minute, man. All right. Trying to battle this code. So all types of weird things has been happening with people, either Ace Austin or Chris Bay, or mostly their crew, and he's getting the blame for it, and Bully's getting the blame because we know about this guy's past on everything he's done, but he's claiming he's turned a new leaf, and we've yet to see anything that he's done yet. So we're gonna see how this all plays out in the end. But that's kind of right now this whole storyline. And Kazarian, who was the X Division champion, of course, he went with option C. Option C meaning he gave up his X Division title so he could go up against Josh Alexander, man, for the Impact World title. So, I mean, are they ready to get the belt off for Josh or Kazarian? I know, right?
No, it's a way for, think about it. It's AEW giving an AEW guy to Impact and allowing their world champion to get a win over an AEW roster member.
Right. Sure. Yeah,
which makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Well, speaking of AEW, man, tell me, we're running out of time here. What highlights you want to mention from both shows?
Oh, for sure. So something that I have to start with, I'm not even going to bury the lead.
Okay.
If you watch nothing else from AEW Dynamite this past week, go and watch the William Regal MJF promo. That promo was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And quite possibly one of the better babyface promos that I've seen in recent memory, cut by MJF.
Yeah. Of all, right?
Yeah. So what do? Do you go ahead and pull the trigger and complete the babyface turn? But ultimately, if they're going to embrace this, they can't have him come out and hugging audience members and stuff like that. He has to be the same asshole that he has been, but at the same time, take it down just a notch. Not enough to where it's extremely noticeable, but enough just to, give the people what they want.
Sure.
And I think that's genuinely what we're going to get at Full Gear. I think we're going to get MJF successfully defeating Jon Moxley, unless everything's been patched up with Mr. Phillip Brooks. And in which case, do you bring Punk back as a heel and have him cost MJF the championship? We'll see. Right. Very interesting, but yeah, that promo was absolutely just solid. Elsewhere, there was the ROH World Title match, Chris Jericho versus Dalton Castle, and when I say the participants in the match, you kind of get an idea in your head of what the match is going to be, and it was every bit of that. It was Chris Jericho, Dalton Castle going out and entertaining people and giving Dalton Castle the platform that, quite frankly, he deserves. He's a great talent, and he should be seen on national TV. Also, the Moxley and Hangman match was great up until the King Kong Lariat. And Adam Page was doing a flip out bump. He didn't rotate all the way, landed on his neck. And Paul Turner, Doc Samson, they were right there on the spot. and it was a bit of a wet fart, kind of an ending to the match.
Yeah.
But wrestler safety is of the utmost importance.
Sure.
So Paul Turner calls for the end of the match, referee stoppage. And obviously, if you go back and you see the replay, yeah, it didn't look good. Thankfully, and this is even fucked up to say, thankfully, he only got a concussion.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, from the outpouring from everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people in the business, you could tell that this was something that did not look good. And although it was a concussion, Hangman dodged a bullet for sure.
Sure. Yeah. So, well,
that's pretty much it. I mean, the fucking the daddy ass crew, if you will, the Acclaimed, they can scissor again. So they paid off the whole storyline with Smart Mark Sterling. What the hell? Nonetheless, keep on making that merch money. And the Acclaimed, virtually one of the most over acts in all of AEW. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm not afraid to say, I'm sure if we can go back into the archive, they were one of the ones that I picked from the beginning, going, I really do like. And one of the thing is the fact that, hey, is it Max Caster? That's his name. First off, to have the ability to, come out every week and create a different rhyme to keep people's waiting to hear that.
Yeah.
People's ready to hear. That's alone to get you hyped. And then when you can back that up with having a great match, it's easy for success for you to go forward from there. So
TK's done right by them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was a team that he put together. These guys were not a team before AEW. So Tony Khan put them together and it's worked out amazingly well. So both of those guys are phenomenal in everything that they do, and they have amazing futures ahead of them as well.
Sure. Awesome. All right, folks. That is our wrestling talk for tonight. Told you we're going to kind of keep it a little short. We hope to have the guys back next week. I hope to be back in 100%, and we'll go from there. But I want to thank you for listening, no matter if it was live or you downloaded the podcast. Definitely appreciate it. Now, we do have 3 Count coming up next. So when we end this show, 3 Count will start up. We got 3 good topics. They were on the scroll below. We're going to talk a little bit about the CM Punk AEW contract buyout that was mentioned this past week. New Japan president Takami Obari, he comments on Carl Anderson. Hey, where are you going to show up at, man? You got a contract with us. That should be pretty interesting there. And Bray Wyatt, I guess he is criticized for not being able to get heat. What is that about, huh? All right. Well, if you want to know more, definitely either download the following podcast for Tuesday's download or listen to us live. All right. Until then, we'll see you next week. All right. Peace.